Just start.
Oh yeah.
Brad and Karis here.
Brad and Karis.
Yep.
Here at the Wasatch Optimal
Sorry,
Wellness.
start again. I was talking.
Okay. Brad and Karis at the Wasatch Optimal Wellness Clinic, WOW, in Heber, Utah. And we're about to enter and spend some time with Dr. Benjamin Fogg. He's a friend of mine, great clinician, and he specializes in wellness and longevity. So we're gonna start today on this journey under medical supervision, really important.
Cool.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Fogg.
Hey, Brad. Call me Ben.
Of course.
Welcome in.
All right. This is my buddy, Dr. Benjamin Fogg, Ben, who is a wellness expert, longevity expert. This guy really knows his stuff. It's all about functional medicine, all about helping people like me to live longer and live stronger, including cognitive health, all the stuff. So we're gonna do a bunch of cool tests today, use some technology. He's gonna draw some blood and tell me what's going on. And anyway, so this is just kind of the start of the journey with some medical supervision, which don't you recommend people when they're like seriously going on their wellness journey to do it under the supervision of a physician?
Definitely. There's a lot of information out there. It's kind of hard to figure out what is legitimate and what's not. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of good information out there, but to be able to do it the right way and use kind of the gold standard tests.
Yeah.
And so we're doing some blood work. We'll do your DEXA scan, which is the gold standard for body composition, and we'll do your VO2 max. So hope you brought your A game.
I brought my game, but we'll find out what letter it is. Cool. Okay, so where do we start?
Yeah, let's start with your blood work.
Okay, cool.
So Ben, what do we do in here? What is this? What is this thing?
And so this is called a DEXA scan. So it's the gold standard for body composition. We're looking at not just your bone density like we do in the medical or in the hospital system, but we're looking at your muscle mass, your lean mass, your percent body fat, how much visceral fat you have. And so it just gets a good assessment of your overall body composition.
All right, visceral fat. I know a little bit about that. That's the fat around the organs, right?
Yeah. So
why is that important to check?
Yeah, so visceral fat is the fat that's around our organs. It's associated with metabolic disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer. And so we want our visceral fat to be as low as possible.
Cool.
Well, we're gonna assess and kind of see how much visceral fat we have, but then we're gonna go into the VO2 max testing where we can really figure out how we can burn and target that fat burning.
Oh, cool.
And we can also give you some guidelines in terms of nutrition and exercise to decrease your visceral fat, increase your bone density, increase your muscle mass. So when we think longevity, we like to think we want people to maintain their muscle mass. We want people to maintain their bone density. So
this is really exciting.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you lay down,
Okay.
head up this way. And so let's slip those shoes off and any metal off. Does that ring come off very easily?
Yeah.
And so the scan, so we use a really low dose radiation, so it's a really low dose X-ray. So minimal radiation exposure gives us a lot of good
I
information.
need to hold my breath here.
No, you don't, unless you can hold your breath for 8 minutes, but it's about an 8-minute scan.
Okay.
And if you can just hold still. All right, so we're all done with the DEXA.
Cool. Quick and painless.
Yeah, you can sit up and you can see, so here's your skeleton, there's your ghost. And then if we look here, we look at the reddish orange is your lean mass, mostly muscle, and then that yellow is adipose tissue or fat tissue. And so we'll kind of run this report and review everything together.
Very cool. Yeah. I think I look much better in person, but those aren't bad.
Well, most people like the look of their skeleton. Some people don't like the look of their ghost.
Yeah. And there was a lot of yellow I was seeing, so that wasn't too cool.
We'll get some details here.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go get your blood work.
Okay.
And then Yeah, so we'll head over and get your blood work. Get your shoes on.
All right.
And then we'll get you hydrated before we do that VO2 max.
Yeah. All right, tell me your name again.
I'm Trisha.
Trisha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is for a podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, what's the podcast called?
It's called Live Longer, Live Stronger.
Oh, I should have my husband listen to it. He's 53 and he's starting to, in fact, this morning he said, this year I've had so many health problems. I'm like, I know, babe, because you need to do different things now.
Yeah.
You gotta start taking care of yourself a little better here.
Right.
Okay. You're all done.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, good luck on your VO2 max.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Good job on the blood draw.
Thank you.
So VO2 max is one of the ultimate predictors of longevity. So it's measuring how efficiently our body can utilize oxygen during peak exercise. And so it's pretty much saying, okay, how effective can our heart, lungs, and muscles all work together to use oxygen at peak performance?
Okay.
So that's what we're going to measure here. And we'll go over the report. It gives us a lot more information in that too. It also helps us understand how we can train smarter and not just harder.
Cool. Okay.
We'll look at the different training zones. Everyone talks about being in zone 2 and staying below that anaerobic threshold. And there's pros and cons, but we'll go over that report once we do it.
Okay.
So what
Awesome.
we're going to do is we're going to have you on the treadmill.
All right.
Typically, what we do is so the protocol that we'll likely do with you. Are you a sprinter? Not so much.
Sorry, I had to laugh because I can't think of the last time I've even seen him run.
When you say, are you a sprinter?
Okay, so I'm saying we're probably not going to go super fast on here. I think we're going to do more incline work than speed.
Okay. I mean, I can sprint short distances.
Okay, but we're going to want to we want you to push your lungs, your cardiorespiratory fitness.
Yeah.
And not your legs. And so a lot of the time, if we push you running, your legs are going to give out before your lungs will. And so I think what we'll do is we'll probably do kind of a brisk walk and increase the incline every minute.
Okay.
This is going to get tight, and it's meant to. We're going to do a seal check once we get it. So again, it's just 1 minute on each one. We're getting close. We're past that anaerobic threshold. We just got to get a little bit more out of you. Okay, I'm gonna stop the test. We're gonna go into recovery mode. We're gonna go back down to flat. It was a lot of work. I'm glad you did it. But
That was harder than I was expecting it.
yeah, well, you got up there pretty good. I think you got to 16 degrees, but we got a good reading.
Cool.
We got a good report here that's gonna give you lots of usable data that's gonna help you in your journey. So
Thanks, man.
So yeah, I'm excited for you.
Hey, thanks for your help.
Yeah, no problem.
Great to meet you.
You too.
So if we look here, this is your DEXA scan. Again, we're looking at your full body composition. We're looking at your bone density. We're looking at your muscle mass. We're looking at your muscle distribution. We're looking at your total percent body fat and that visceral fat that we talked about. We're looking at your total mass in pounds. You're at about 179 pounds. Of that, you've got about 47.5 pounds of fat and 125 pounds of lean mass, mostly muscle. This puts your percent body fat at 27.5, which is a little bit higher than we'd like. One thing I like to remind people about your percent body fat, even if you didn't lose any fat and you gained muscle, your percent body fat's going to come down.
Okay.
Because it's all based on composition.
Right.
I often will look at your total lean mass as well, and there's a lot of question about how much protein should we be getting in a day.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different guidelines. One of the things that I like to recommend is, so get a minimum of your ideal lean mass in grams of protein. And so you're at 125 pounds of lean mass. And so that should be your minimum amount of grams of protein you should be getting in a day. And if you're wanting to go up a little bit more based on your muscle mass, which we'll get into, so your ideal would be probably closer to 130.
Okay.
And so 130, 135. And so shooting for that in grams of protein a day, which is a lot.
Yeah. I
Takes a lot of effort.
don't think I'm getting that now.
And so rather than just caring about your percent body fat, we like to look at the distribution of that body fat. And so looking at android-gynoid ratio. So android is abdominal, gynoid is hips. We like that ratio to be less than 1. You're at 1.8. And so that's just saying, like, of the fat that you have, most of it is in the abdominal region.
Yeah, and I feel like my weight, I don't think I'm too far off my ideal weight, but I look in the mirror and it's like, how come I still get this belly fat? What's going on?
Well, and this is where like DEXA is such a helpful tool, because say you were to lose 5 pounds of fat and gain 5 pounds of muscle, I'd be excited, be happy about it, but the scale wouldn't change at all. Right. And so looking at your body composition, this is why I don't like looking at weight in general.
Yeah.
So, but looking at the full body composition. So again, with that abdominal, the more android fat that you have, we also look at what we call your visceral fat. Again, we talked about visceral fat being the unhealthy fat that's around your organs associated with metabolic disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer. We want that as low as possible. Your visceral fat is about 5 pounds. To give you kind of some perspective on that, for your age, you are 68, going on 65. We're biohacking around here, right? So at 68, visceral fat of 5 pounds puts you kind of in that 80th percentile for your age and gender, meaning that your visceral fat is a lot higher than we'd like.
Okay.
So that's one area that we can focus on.
Yeah.
This is something that we can, there is a genetic component of visceral fat. It's not all lifestyle. The visceral fat is more difficult to get rid of than just kind of the subcutaneous fat that's everywhere else. It takes more consistency with nutrition, with exercise. And so, but this is one concern. And instead of comparing you to the population, what we want to do with all of these tests is compare you against yourself and see your trends over time. This is personalized medicine. These are personalized plans to you, not comparing to everyone else. With the anaerobic threshold, we like to see that's where your body's going from the more efficient oxidative phosphorylation pathway, where you're burning fat, to burning glucose when you're doing glycolysis. And so you can only sustain glycolysis pathway, that aerobic exercise, for so long before you bonk, what we call is where you deplete your glycogen storage, deplete your blood glucose. But seeing where that threshold is when you go into glycolysis, but then also to see where your peak VO2 is. So when you are exerting yourself and your heart rate is kind of plateauing, and your VO2 is kind of plateauing as well. And so that's what we call your VO2 max. So your VO2 here was, so your VO2 max was measured to be 30. And so for your age and gender, that puts you in kind of that fair category.
Okay. All right.
Not low, but not excellent. So the goal would be to bring that up kind of more to that excellent range.
Right.
But again, this is something that takes time and consistent training. And this is where we can do different interval training to increase your VO2 max. We know that VO2 max is one of the best predictors of longevity.
Would you recommend that he wear a heart rate monitor, or do have something that can track his heart rate so that he might be able to keep aware of that thing? Or is it just sort of one of those things where you feel it?
Yeah, well, it can be both. And a lot of people are really into tracking everything and wearing continuous glucose monitors, wearing heart rate monitors, there's a lot of wearables. They can be helpful tools. If you don't want to wear a monitor all the time, you can get an idea of how you feel, and you can check it with that occasionally and just say, okay, well, it looks like this is how I feel when I'm in my zone 4, zone 5. And for zone 2, a lot of people talk about the talk test. And so with the zone 2 training, most of the time you'll be able to carry a conversation. You're going to be exercising. And so if you're exercising in zone 2, most of the time you'll be able to carry a conversation. The person that you're talking to can probably tell that you're exercising. You're a little out of breath, but you're able to maintain that conversation. where that zone 4, zone 5, you're not talking in that. And so I think the talk test is a kind of a simplified zone 2 to let you know that this is where I should be. And you can test it out with the heart rate monitor and just kind of confirm how you feel. But yeah, a lot of people are using the wearables a lot and just obsessed with them and watching the whole time, which for me personally, like if I go out on a mountain bike ride and I look, again, like during those hills and whatnot, yeah, I am getting into that zone 4, zone 5 as I'm climbing. But for the rest of the ride, a lot of the time I'm kind of in that zone 2. And I like to not necessarily watch as I'm doing it, but to be able to go back and see how much time I spent in the different zones.
Yeah. And I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because that's enough for me for today.
Yeah.
And these are things that I can like literally today start working on. And then we'll have you back on the podcast in, does it take a couple of weeks to get the
Yeah, we should have
results?
them back in about a week.
Okay. So we'll set up a time. We'll just have you sitting here on your laptop. We'll bring you into the studio digitally, and you can give me the results of the blood test and then kind of lay out the bigger, broader vision and plan, because you'll then have all the information. Does that sound like a good path forward?
Sounds great.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
We'll have everything put it together and then figure out what the next steps are.
I love it. Ben, you are, besides being a genius, you're just a cool dude. I just love hanging out with you, and you're inspiring. And, you know, for you viewers of the podcast, when you're picking a physician, your clinical person who's going to guide you in this journey, it's not enough that they're wonderful clinicians and great, you know, medical professionals, but you got to kind of pick somebody you vibe with, somebody that's like, hey, they got my back, they care about me, they get me, and you know, and that's how I feel about you. You're so cool.
Well, you're
and
awesome.
I trust you, and so this is. I'm just honored that you'd help me on this journey, and it's going to be a blast. So I can't thank you enough. And this is going to be so cool. We'll have you back on the podcast in a bit to go over the plan, and we'll just kind of walk this path together.
Yeah, well, you're a great patient. It's fun having patients that you get along with as well. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you said. And again, I love, it's really fun for me as a physician when my patients are excited about their health, when they're wanting to be proactive, when they're wanting to take measures and take things into their own hands to be more preventative instead of reactive.
Yeah.
And shooting for that longevity that is the goal for all of us.